Can't Stay Long, the name of the track. It's brand new music from Scott H. Burham on the Real Country Revival. And very excited to be checking in on the phone with Kyle, a.k.a. Trigger, from Saving Country Music Dec. How you doing, Kyle?
Oh, pretty good, Charlie. How about you?
I'm doing real good. I'm glad we got the phone connected. Hopefully it stays connected so we can get to know each other for a few minutes here.
Yeah.
Where to begin? How about with the website, savingcountrymusic.com? I've been a fan for a long time. So is my friend Sean Ayers, who does Sean's Pick of the Week. He kind of helped get us in touch. But talk about the website. How long has it been around? When did you start it? Why did you start it? And what's it all about?
Well, it's been around for about a dozen years now, going on 13 years. And, I just started it as a frustrated country music fan who, saw all this great music out there being made by independent artists, but it wasn't getting a whole lot of attention from the radio or from websites or magazines, periodicals. And so instead of just complaining about it, I figured I'd try to do something about it and started it. And it's going pretty well. It's my full-time job now, and get quite a few folks coming every month to give it a read and do what I can to help give some attention to some worthy artists.
That is fantastic that you're able to turn this into the full-time gig. And I'm doing a similar thing with the Real Country Revival. I came over from, like I was telling you before we went on the air, from Arizona about 8 years ago. And I'd go to the shows over here, and they were just fantastic because you see these acts that are medium-sized acts, maybe in the U.S. smaller medium-sized acts. They come over here and they play really intimate shows, just super relaxed. So I was enjoying that a lot, and then I saw the crowds grow. So over the years, it'd go from very small to a little bigger to sold out, and I'm like, you know what? There's an audience over here for this kind of music as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if you talk to artists, they'll all tell you that the best place for them to tour is Europe, that the fans are so dedicated. They get taken care of so much better than they do here in the States. And, it's not as much traveling around. The United States is really big. So you can go from, the Netherlands to Sweden to UK and really find some great support. And, I think per capita, roots and country fans in Europe and the Netherlands specifically just really support this music and really appreciate the authenticity that a lot of these artists bring.
Yeah, that's what I've found as well. We got Kyle, a.k.a. Trigger, from SavingCountryMusic.com on the phone with us, and talk about that, pop country. I like pop country from the 70s. I gotta have I have a soft spot in my heart for it. It's not like it's a new thing, but boy, it seems like, and I don't know about you, but I don't like the 90s. There's some people are a little bit sentimental about the 90s pop country, but I don't like that stuff either. And I really have a strong disdain for the stuff that's getting put out for the most part currently. So talk a little bit about that. What is the thing with this mainstream pop country music? Why do you think it's got such a stranglehold, on the genre, and what's preventing some of these, in our opinion, I think better artists or more authentic artists, to say the least, from breaking through a little bit more than they are?
Well, I think, pop has always had its elements in country, like you said. I mean, from the time of Patsy Cline on, pop always had its place, but it was never the dominant force in country music. Country was. That was the primary influence. And, in the last few years especially, it's kind of changed over where now country is just sort of a southern-flavored version of pop. And, I think that most people are frustrated with it. One of the reasons that I started the website, and one of the reasons that I think it's done so well and shows like yours have done so well, is because, when you go out and you talk to people, just even people that are not necessarily country music fans on a dedicated basis, they'll ask, what has happened with country music? Where did it go? Like, how did we get to this point? And they're flummoxed by it, and I was, and that's, one of the reasons I started the site. And, I would like to think that over the last few years, things have gotten a little bit better as we've moved away from the bro country influence in a lot of mainstream country. There's starting to be a little bit better songs and artists that are getting some play, but it's still an uphill battle. But that's sort of, when it comes to country music, that's kind of the battle of evermore. Like if country music ever got quote unquote saved, it would almost immediately start to regress back to where commercial interests and sort of big pop producers come in and get their stranglehold back on the music. So it's really something that's an ongoing process, and it's been that way since the 50s, since before the 50s, where you've had really authentic artists coming in trying to express themselves, and then the financial interests in it as a business and as an industry pushing back and trying to make more formulaic stuff that's cheaper to produce and more safe. They can guarantee that they'll have that set of listeners.
Yeah, sure. You see it. In other art forms as well, of course. And I always think of that Shooter Jennings tune, "Outlaw You," that kind of tells a brief history of that kind of cycle that he sings.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a perfect example. Like, the mainstream will come in and sort of co-opt what's cool. So, it's in some ways that can be good. Usually it's not.
Yeah,
where they come in and they're like, "Oh, this outlaw music is hot now, so we'll come in and we'll make our own version," and it's usually not as good as the real stuff. But
I come from an alternative rock, punk rock history, and it's the same. Like your bands that you like would get popular, and you'd be like, "Oh, they sold out, sell out. Wow, they're terrible now." Right. So yeah, it's always a battle, I think.
Yeah, and I think but I think as time has gone on here, I do think that stuff is getting a little better. And you mentioned like alt rock. They had their own. There was their own industry that came around, with grunge and all that stuff. It became even bigger than mainstream rock music. But unfortunately, that's never really happened with country. But it's starting to get that way, where
I think you're seeing. You're seeing. Sorry, but you're seeing some of the songwriters kind of cross over. And they're writing songs for some of the mainstream guys, and then they're releasing their own. They're releasing the songs they're writing, and that seems to be getting a little bit more traction than maybe we've seen in the past. Have you noticed that in the last few years? Or?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. That's happening, and I think that there's a lot of independent artists. Tyler Childers and Jason Isbell and people like that, Cody Jinks, who are finally starting to see a lot of commercial sort of, they're selling enough records and getting enough streams to where they're battling with the mainstream guys now, which we never used to really see that much in the past. Now it's becoming pretty commonplace. So I think that the independent side of country is definitely it's on the up, and it's taking away market share from the mainstream. And it'll be up to the mainstream to decide how they want to handle that, if they want to actually come in and give some attention to these guys, or if, they're going to they'll become the niche programming, so to speak, where, they're the ones that are fighting for attention that they feel they deserve.
It's going to be interesting to watch, Kyle, and I think we could talk about this all night or over the weekend. Do you come over to Europe often? Have you made it over here?
I have not made it over there recently, but I do want to come over. In fact, last year in 2020, I was planning to come over and go to Sweden and the Netherlands and a couple of other places to go to some festivals and such. And obviously with COVID, those plans got scrapped. But I hope to come over there. Maybe this next year may not work either, just because we don't know what's going to happen. But I hope to get over there in subsequent years, because there's so many great country music scenes in the Netherlands and throughout Europe, and they deserve. I really enjoy finding bands that are native to to Europe and promoting them as well. There's a lot of great music out there. So
there is definitely, and you got a friend over here now. So thanks for taking some time to talk to us. It's Kyle from SavingCountryMusic.com, and be sure to check out the website. Of course, he just put up Saving Country Music's 2020 Song of the Year nominees. And Kyle, I have not clicked on it yet, so I haven't seen. I can see the little thumbnail, though. I'm seeing some familiar faces.
It's fresh off the press. Fresh off the presses.
Good deal. So I can't wait to check it out. We don't want to give away too many spoilers, and I'm going to let you kind of wrap up with a couple, but I'm going to give you mine, top nominee, and then you can just tell me if it even made your list. But for me, the song I heard this year that knocked me off my stool was Joshua Ray Walker's Voices.
Oh my goodness, that's on the list.
Hey, all right.
That's on my list. Yeah, that's a great song. He's such a great Texas songwriter from Dallas, which is where I'm originally from, and but his voice is really what makes that song, because he's got an amazing voice, a great yodel, very strong singer. So it's one thing to write a great song. It's another thing to write to your vocal strengths and to sing a great song. And that's what he does on that song. Yeah,
but he was just pre-pandemic, man. He was just picking up a ton of steam up in the Nordic countries, and he was going to be making his first run down through here, the Netherlands, when all heck broke loose. But hopefully he'll be back. Right. Maybe you'll be along with them in the next year or so once things get back to normal. But talk a little bit more about your list. Maybe mention drop another couple other nominees before people go and read the article for themselves. SavingCountryMusic.com is the place to go, and then we'll play one of your nominees.
Sure. Well, there's so many great songs this year, but Arlo McKinley put out a great record through John Prine's record label. There's so many songs. I picked Bag of Pills off that particular album, but pretty much any song on that album you could pick out is a great one. Same with Ward Davis. He's not as well known as some of the others, but if you like Cody Jinks and some more of like the outlaw style of country, he's definitely one to check out. His song Threads made the list. So there's a lot of, there's just so much great music this year. John Anderson and his song Years, that's kind of a resurgent song for him. There was a lot of great music in 2020.
No doubt about that. And happy, and it's so refreshing to see, because I always also think, who's going to fill their shoes, and it's so great to see all these artists, doing their best and doing a great job at continuing this style of country music that we both love so much. Is now the nominees, do they lead to winners, or is it just do you leave it at nominees, or is there actually a voting and a winning process that goes on?
Yeah, I kind of do this. Everybody has their end of year lists, and I do it this way because I don't want Saving Country Music to ever just be an autocracy. I want to know what other people think too. So I do kind of put it up for voting. It's not up or down voting, but I do tell people, hey, come, leave a comment on the site. Tell me what you think your favorite songs are, whether they're my nominees or not. So that way what happens is, people can come into the comments and they can get other suggestions for the best songs or the best albums or the best artists. So that's the way I do it. And then I will pick an eventual winner, but it's more about the exercise than it is making music into a competition.
Yeah.
It's about, having people come by and share what they think is the best.
No doubt. All right, I'm voting for Voices. Joshua Ray Walker. You can chalk that up.
Okay, I'll register that in.
All right, and everyone, be sure to check it out and weigh in yourselves. There's a lot of songs on here too that I haven't checked out yet, so I'm looking forward to diving into that latest article from SavingCountryMusic.com. This has been Kyle from SavingCountryMusic.com. Congratulations on all this success with the website, Kyle. Continued success. And, of course, you got a friend over here in the Netherlands, so if you're ever over here, be sure to stay in touch, and we'll have you in the studio. We'll spend 2 hours playing music together. That'd be a ton of fun. But for now...
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, let's talk. I think it's one of the songs on your list. Let's talk about this Zach Bryan tune we're going to hear.
Yeah, November Rain, that's another one of my nominees. He's just an astounding songwriter who's blown up out of nowhere. Just a random guy. He's in the Navy, full-time enlistee, so he's not a guy who can run around and tour or anything. He's got full-time Navy commitments for years to come. but he's an astounding natural songwriter. And he just released an EP, and that song, November Air, is on it. I believe it's about his mother, but I'm not exactly sure. She passed away, and that was sort of the inspiration for a lot of his music. But the guy just, it's so natural and effortless to him to write a great song. And it's, I think it's one of the best all year for sure.
All right. A pleasure talking to you, Kyle. You take care of yourself, and I'm sure we'll be in touch more in the future.
Too.
All right.
Awesome.
Talk to you later.
Talking.
Yeah, good talking to you, too. Here's Zach Bryan, November Air on the Real Country Revival on Breda New.